When you think of the Taj Mahal, you probably picture that perfect, gleaming white monument, right? But it is so much more than just a pretty picture. I mean, we're talking about a masterpiece of engineering, a fusion of entire cultures, and a story of love, loss, and survival, all written in marble. So let's go uncover some of the secrets hidden within those walls.
Okay, first things first, let's talk about the money. To build this today, we're looking at an estimated 827 million US dollars. Just let that sink in for a second. That is an almost unimaginable sum, and it's a real testament to the just sheer scale and ambition of this project, which kicked off way back in the 17th century.
So a price tag like that really makes you wonder, right? What exactly are we looking at here? Let's go way beyond that classic postcard view and really explore the anatomy of this incredible structure.
Okay, so everything in this vast, sprawling complex, it all points to one single place, the tomb. That's the central focus. It's the whole reason for everything you see. The structure itself sits right on top of this big square platform, or plinth, made of that gorgeous, gleaming white marble.
Now, the design of the tomb is just this brilliant fusion of cultures. Think of it like this. The foundational ideas, the basic elements of the tomb, the archways, the cube shape, that's all rooted in Persian architecture. But the Mughal builders, they took that foundation and just elevated it with their own amazing innovations. We're talking perfect symmetry, those softened, chamfered corners, and of course, that iconic white marble facade.
So one of the key features you'll see is something called an iwan. That's the massive arch-shaped doorway. And here's the cool part. It's not just on the front. This exact same design is replicated perfectly on all four sides. It's this obsession with symmetry that gives the Taj its absolutely flawless, balanced look no matter where you're standing.
All right, now I want you to look up, way up. Dominating the entire skyline is probably the Taj Mahal's most spectacular and famous feature, that massive marble dome. So how in the world do you build something that's so massive, but also so incredibly elegant? Well, you do it in layers. First, the builders started with a 7-meter-high cylindrical base. They called it a drum. On top of that, they raised the magnificent 35-meter onion dome. But they didn't stop there. To make it look even taller, they added a decorative lotus design right at the peak. And then they crowned the entire thing with a gilded finial. And the main dome isn't all alone up there. It's actually surrounded by 4 smaller domes called chhatris, and they perfectly mirror its shape. You've also got these tall spires, they're called guldastas, that add this great visual emphasis, just making the whole thing seem to stretch even higher. And that finial, the very tip top, that's a beautiful blend of both Persian and Hindu decorative styles.
Okay, let's shift our focus now to those 4 towering minarets framing the tomb. At first glance, you might think they're purely decorative, right? But they are hiding a brilliant engineering secret.
Yeah, you heard me right. These magnificent towers, they were actually designed to fail. I know it sounds totally counterintuitive, but trust me, it was an absolute act of architectural genius.
So here's how it worked. Each of these 40-meter-tall minarets was built to lean just a tiny bit outwards. And why would they do that? Well, in case of an earthquake, which was a pretty common threat back then, the towers were designed to collapse away from the main tomb, protecting the precious mausoleum inside. It's basically a brilliant form of architectural insurance.
But for all its perfection, and for all this genius design, the story of the Taj Mahal, well, it takes a really dark turn. Its incredible beauty and all those precious materials, they made it a target, and its legacy was nearly destroyed.
Its original name was Rawze-e-Munawwara. It means something like the illumined or illustrious tomb. It's just such a beautiful, hopeful name, which stands in really stark contrast to the harsh reality of what was about to happen.
So the decline really began after Shah Jahan's death. That's when the monument's protection just weakened. By the 18th century, it was vulnerable, and it got plundered during an invasion. Then, in 1857, it was defaced even more by British soldiers during the Indian Rebellion. For literally centuries, its future was completely up in the air, until a huge restoration project finally kicked off in the early 1900s.
Just try to imagine the treasures that were stripped away from this place. We're talking chandeliers made of agate and silver. Gone. A screen woven from pure gold and silver. Taken away. They even removed the gold shield from the very top of the dome. And later, the desecration got even more personal. with British soldiers literally chiseling precious stones right out of the walls to take home as souvenirs.
But the story doesn't end in destruction, thankfully. At the end of the 19th century, the British viceroy, a man named Lord Curzon, ordered a massive project to bring the Taj Mahal back from the brink of ruin.
And this project was absolutely sweeping. The marble was repaired, a huge new lamp was brought in for the interior, modeled after one in a Cairo mosque. But this restoration also brought some permanent changes. I think the biggest one was the garden. The original Mughal gardens, which were filled with fruit trees and flowers, were totally replaced with the formal British-style lawns that you see today. It was a really dramatic shift from the original vision.
So the Taj Mahal that we see today, yes, it's been restored, but it's also been changed forever. It's a symbol of eternal love for sure, absolutely. But it's also a survivor, a monument that has endured plunder, neglect, and even war. So I guess the question is, what is its true legacy? Is it that perfect, untouched monument to love? Or is it a beautiful, complicated story of survival?